Good afternoon. So after the previous talk, I think it's back to reality here. This is a little less capacity, but also a bit faster though. And that's what I actually want to talk about today. After yesterday, when I talked about the system, I want to talk about the drive, which is in the Everspan product. And that drive is unique, and it's the first time that it was attempted to put an 8-channel optical head drive together. So I will talk about that and explain. So we had the previous consumer type optical generations. Now we concentrate on the archival disk. In its first generation, the medium has 300 gigabyte. And for that medium, it's a dual-sided medium, we use a new drive, an 8-channel drive. In that 8-channel drive, we have 4 of these 2-channel heads you see on the left-hand side. These 2-channel heads you see here, you have 2 on the bottom, 2 on top, and you see the head in between, and all heads can move independent of each other. So the medium, very similar to a Blu-ray medium, still has a spiral, so there is one track, and that spiral goes from inside to the outside. So when you read with 8 heads, you read kind of the heads jump between the track, and then we put it all together again. And at the end, you have then one SATA interface, and you get the data. You get your data from the 8 heads as one consecutive stream. The individual heads can write with 45 megabytes per second. And when you have 8 heads together, we have some overhead in this, and then we get to a 280 megabytes per second transfer rate with this drive. Actually, I have a drive here. You see it's a dual side drive, so it's like you have one drive in the bottom and one on top, and then 4 heads on the bottom, 4 heads on top. On the back, you have the SATA interface, power, and a serial interface. This form factor is standard form factor for drives. I also have a medium here. Just want to show you. This is a 300 gigabyte medium. It's you can kind of look through it. That's the first generation medium, and I talked about that yesterday. That medium goes then in steps to and above 1 terabyte. That is with 6-layer technology, so 3 layers on both sides. So on the next chart, you see the real transfer rate. On the left-hand side, we start at the inner diameter. The disk basically rotates with 10,000 RPM. That's the limit for the polycarbonate of the medium. And on the right-hand side, you see a real drive just flipped open. And we have the 2-channel laser heads, 4 of those on the bottom and on the top. For these 2-channel laser heads, when we write with these heads, we write with one head and then read with or verify with the other head, which is adjacent to it. And then when we read with all heads concurrently at the same time. So the 8 heads then jump across the tracks with the fine actuator. You have in these heads, you have a fine actuator where just the laser is moved. And then you have a coarse actuator. That's actually what you see here. That is the actuator which moves then on these guides. Since we do a verification, we then have 140 megabytes per second, and on read we have 280 megabytes per second per drive. then we have a SATA interface, and we use a high reliability laser in these drives, which has a mean time between failure of 14,000 hours. These 14,000 hours are for writing. For reading, the life is basically not limited. You can almost read forever with these heads. Here you see a block diagram for the drive, for the 8-channel drive. So you have in the lower part, you see these 4 of the 2-channel heads, and the red arrows show the data flow. Then we have a SATA processor in the drive. And to the outside, then we report the data as one consecutive data stream. So although we have 8 heads, we see that as one drive. In the bottom, you see that these heads then write to the spiral on the medium. And as I explained before, the heads are then moving between that single track. For this drive, we have a optical interface, MMC specification, MMC standard, and we also have a tape interface, which follows the T10 standard. So you can write to this optical drive also with a tape interface. If you have a tape library today, it will work seamless with that tape application you have. We offer these as the protocol interface, these 2 options. But then we also have the option for an object store interface, so that you just talk to this whole library via object store, S3 protocol. So then we put these drives in the library. On the top, on the little picture there, you see the schematic of a base unit, which then has 64 drives and 13.1 petabytes. And then we go in increment of 13 petabytes, and the total library has 183 petabytes. That is a single library, and through the object store interface, we can combine 4 of these libraries together, so that we also get redundancy for a complete library failing. Then the total capacity of the system is 730 petabytes. All of that is with the 300 gigabyte medium. So the total library then looks like this. The top picture, that's the 55 feet long row of trays, media trays or media racks. And just on the left side of this top picture, we have a drive unit where we have 64 drives. On the bottom picture, that's inside of the library. We have a robotic in between, and then on the left and right, you see the racks for media trays. So this library has 64 drives. Total bandwidth is 18 gigabytes, not bits, gigabytes per second. Each tray, which we insert in these slots in the lower right picture, each of these trays has 64 media, so that we have a media tray which holds 19.2 terabyte. And that's the unit the robotic works with, this media tray, which holds 19 terabyte. And then we add expansion units, and that's what you see on the top picture. Always 2 of these doors, additional doors, then represent another 13 petabytes of data. And then you come to a total capacity of these 183 petabytes. The acquisition cost of this system is similar to LTO7. Cost of ownership, we feel, is the lowest in the market. It's better than tape. The media reliability cannot compete with what you have seen before, but it is 100 years. We give a 100-year media warranty, which is unique in this field. Well, that was my quick overview for the drive. It's worldwide. It's the first time everybody achieved an 8-channel drive. So it's very different from what you know with Blu-ray. Although it's also a blue laser in here, but the 8 heads are really the difference. Make the difference. If you have any questions.
Sorry, questions?
We have test installations at this time. The product ships in regular production from July this year. Thank you very much.